It was 5 miles' drive from Roy Twistle Psychiatric to Kempthorpe, over dull brown moors thick with mist. Anna turned Minnie the Micro's fog lights on, palms damp on the wheel. Nearly 10 years on, places like Roy Twistle still made her feel cold and alone. "You're in my room," she said. "Eh?" In the passenger seat, Martin blinked. Jeans, sweater, 2 days' stubble and an old carrier bag on his lap. A wavering smile and dark rings under eyes that flicked from place to place. Her brother. This was her brother now. "Mary's in the spare room. She'll want to be near you." "I can't take your bed. I've got a camp bed in the study." "In the what?" "Loft conversion, remember? Study? Get you." If he could joke, that was a good sign, wasn't it? "I'll be fine. I'm used to it." He didn't look sure. "Honestly." She needed some privacy. Pull up the drawbridge a bit. "I've moved all my stuff upstairs anyway." "Remember your family, lass," Dad had always used to say. "House else comes and goes, but your family's always there." Something else she'd have to do. The monthly trip to the garden of Brest. Take Dad some flowers. The hills around Kempthorpe came into view as she turned onto Dunwich Road North. Her gaze drifted to the furthest one, lost beneath its thick growth of pines and rowans, like a pelt of fur and bones. Ash fell. "Ice front," she told herself, and drove on. Her little terraced house on Trafalgar Road. Slate-roofed houses of grey or yellow stone. Hers was yellow. Dad's old house. Mum and Dad's. Hers now. She filled the kettle, put it on. Coffee, milk, sugar. Checked her mobile. "There's plenty of time yet," said Martin. "No, it's not that. I'm just checking to see if Carol's called." "Carol? From work? The library?" "Oh. There was something I was trying to find about Ashfell Hospital. That place again. Anyway, she was going to let me know if she found it." Change the subject, Anna. Something less morbid. "There's some of your stuff in the bedroom from... Anyway, it's there. From Alma Street." "Yes." "You can say it. I'll not fall apart if you do." "OK. Look, I'd better go and pick up Mary." "Already? School's not out yet, is it?" "Mrs. Hartigan wants to see me." "All right, I'll unpack." "She's really glad you're back." She didn't say back home. For Martin, home was still Alma Street, radioactive with the past. "What, Mrs. Hartigan's back glad?" "No, Mary, you silly sod." "Aye? We both are. But Mary most of all. I got her a present for you. From you." "Eh? For Christmas?" "You'll need to sound a label for it." "Right. You'll be okay, yeah?" "Aye, go on. Okay. Anna." She turned at the front door. Martin drew himself all the way upright, took a deep breath. "I'll do my best not to try and let you down." "It's Mary you've got to not let down, Martin." "I know," he said. "It's what Eva would have wanted." His whole face trembled when he spoke her name. Mrs. Hartigan leant back in her chair. A Newton's cradle clicked on the desktop. A small Christmas tree wrapped in threadbare tinsel perched on the windowsill. "So, how is Mary's dad?" she said. "He's only come home today." Click, click, click. The headmistress steepled her fingers. "He seems okay, but the whole point is it's on a trial basis, just for Christmas. For now, anyway. The doctors at Roy Twistle thought it might help. A first step. Sounds to me like they're treating his daughter as a guinea pig. It's been less than a month since... 10 days after the fire, 2 days after the funeral. Mary had called her at the library, scared and weepy. Anna had come over. Martin had been slumped in his chair, conscious but unmoving and silent. Once Mary was out of the room, he'd calmly told Anna how he'd spent the night planning to hang himself from a ceiling beam. Anna had called their GP straight away. To hell with keeping it in the family. Better Mary saw her dad sectioned and dangling from a rafter. Anna kept her voice level. "Mary loves her dad, and he's pretty much all she's got right now." Click, click, click. "She has you. And I love her, and I've given her all the love and care I can, but she's still effectively lost both parents, Mrs. Hartigan. At least she sees one of them for Christmas this way." "Well," Mrs. Hartigan sniffed and glanced away, "the decision has been made. Bite your tongue, Anna. Don't rock the boat. Martin's not out of the woods yet. And no one else knows you're gay. That shouldn't stop them letting you care for Mary. The times have changed. It's not even as if you'd do anything about it. But this is Kempthorpe. Old attitudes die hard up here." Click, click, click. "Where's Mr. Griffiths now?" "At mine." "Alone? He's not a suicide risk anymore." "Let's hope not." "It won't come to that, it won't. But if it does, make sure Mary doesn't see. She comes before everything else now." Anna blinked. "Calm down. Don't be silly. He's not at risk. With your past, you ought to be more understanding." Mrs. Hartigan tapped a pencil against her teeth, then smiled. "I'll walk you to the classroom. May as well meet Mary there. Thank you. Children ran shrieking down the dim corridor, fell silent when they saw Mrs. Hartigan. Watercolour paintings of Father Christmas in various guises grinned from the walls. Mary's classroom was at the far end, the door open. A few children still struggled into coats. Miss Rhodes, Mary's teacher, a sweet, rather vague woman with unruly hair, huge glasses, and a liking for baggy sweaters, tidied papers at her desk. "Hi, Mary." Mary's blue eyes flicked to Mrs. Hartigan, then back to Anna, a heart-shaped face, achingly solemn for a child of 10, with framed by Eva's copper hair. "Say hello to your aunt, Mary," said Mrs. Hartigan. "Hello, Auntie Anna." "Hey, Princess. Guess who's waiting for us back home?" Mary's eyes went wide. "Daddy? Got it in one." She took Mary's hand. "How about fish and chips for—" Thud! A crack of glass. Mary grabbed Anna's arm, a black shape at the window, hands splayed against the glass. Thin silver cracks fled outwards from them. A happy Christmas banner peeled loose from above and fell. Anna's heart thumped. Her last fight had been 30 years earlier in the playground outside, and she'd lost. But she stepped in front of Mary. It wasn't courage, just simple necessity. "Get away from the window!" Mrs. Rhodes shouted. Two other figures stepped up to the window to flank the first. Miss Rhodes, vague no longer, strode towards them, a meter ruler in her hand. "Children, get out into the corridor. Do as you're told. Now!" Anna recognised them. But where from? The man seemed very tall and very thin. A black cloak hung in tatters around him, clinging to him one moment, then flapping loose. His face was pale, immobile, like a mask. You'd remembered a face like that. The newcomers spread their hands against the window. Fingers long and thin as broom twigs scraped the glass. They couldn't be real. And Anna remembered. No, they couldn't be real. Not just the fingers, but the men themselves. They couldn't be real. Couldn't. She'd seen them when she was... More screams further down the corridor. "You!" Miss Rhodes advanced on the window, aiming the ruler at the central figure two-handed, like a sword. "This is school property. Go away at once." The three stiff, smooth faces all turned to stare at her. Miss Rhodes stopped in her tracks. "I'll call the police," she said, but with less authority than before. Anna thought Miss Rhodes would look away from them at any moment, but it was the three cloaked figures who turned away, as if they'd been called. Perhaps they had. Further back in the mist, Anna saw a fourth figure, tall and cloaked like them, but different somehow. The fourth turned and vanished into the mist. The others trailed almost meekly after it, and were gone. Mary's fingers dug into Anna's arm. She covered the small hand with hers. Miss Rhodes put the ruler down and went to one child who was crying. At the corridor, Mrs. Hartigan was still pressed, frozen, against the wall.